I'd like to call the meeting to order. Is Pastor Stevens still with us? Pastor Stevens, he left. Okay. Well, yes, I know that. But we're going to start with a prayer. So if we bow our heads and remember we're in the presence of the Lord. Heavenly Father, we come before you in this very blessed season when each of us is celebrating all of the gifts that you've given us, whether it's those Christians celebrating the birth of Christ or those celebrating their spiritual seasons. We want to thank you for the freedom to celebrate in whatever way our families do. We also want to pray in a special way this evening for all of the youth in our community. We're reminded what a special gift they are to us, and we ask that you watch over and protect them and help them through these next couple weeks as they bear the burden of doing exams and the pressures that all that takes. Please be with these children as they journey through their school years and through their service to our community. We want to pray for those families who cannot be together, especially those who have family members serving to protect our freedom. And we want to pray for our policemen and our firemen. For these and all things, in your name we pray. Amen. I would like to call up, as everybody knows, we just inducted our youth council, and I know that there's one member of the youth council who is an Eagle Scout, Arjun Verma, and we'd like to have you come up and lead us in the pledge. Come up to the mic right where the mayor was. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, you have a quorum this evening. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers, beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Under the consent agenda this evening, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of December 5th, 2013. There were no items under approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. Under item 3, approval of bingo and public gathering applications, we have item 3A, application number 1784/13, the Rotary Club of Kenner to hold a public gathering for the purpose of an annual run walk event on January 4, 2014 from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Laketown Park. Item 3B is application number 1785/13, the City of Kenner to hold a public gathering for the purpose of a Martin Luther King March on January 20th, 2014, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. throughout various streets within the City of Kenner. Item 4 is correspondence reports from the Mayor, CAO, and department heads. We have none. Item 5 is acceptance, rejection of bids requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 6 is change orders requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 7 is acceptance of committee findings for final passage. We have none. Item 8 is re-subdivision ordinances for final passage. We have none.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan on consent. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, this evening we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding resolution number B16402, a resolution authorizing the City Council for the City of Kenner to hold a public hearing to determine whether or not the building located at 2309 Kenner Avenue, Kenner, Louisiana, should not be repaired or demolished. Madam Chairman, we've received a request this evening to indefinitely defer this item.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan on an indefinite deferral of 9A. Pardon me. Well, Councilmember Carroll. And second by Councilmember Black. Council members, please vote on indefinite deferral.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 9B is a public hearing regarding resolution number B16407, A resolution authorizing the City Council for the City of Kenner to hold a public hearing to determine whether or not the building located at 1525 31st Street, Kenner, Louisiana, should not be repaired or demolished. Madam Chairman, we've also received a request to indefinitely defer this item.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Black on indefinite deferral. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say that for these two particular properties, this is something that I think the city of Kenner and the people will be able to understand. We, as a council and as our fellow neighbors, want our city to be safe environment for us and our families. It just takes the cooperation of the code department. It takes the administration and the council. These are two cases where the property owners, one, understood that they were in a position, from a financial position, they were not able to make the proper repairs. So the option was given for them to find someone to sell the property to. It worked out well for everyone. Sometimes people get the impression that we are out to, demonize sometimes and not to be able to help. This wasn't the case for the property on Kenner Avenue. On the other property, the owners were given the opportunity to improve the property, cut the grass, fix everything. And there's a couple of things to get done, but we're going to work through that. But this is an opportunity for the property owners to not be afraid that if there are opportunities to make the property better, or in another case to sell it, we extend that opportunity to work with you. And I want to thank Mr. Connolly and the code department for offering this to the property owners. I think at the end of the day, everyone became whole on this and are at a better place, and especially the city of Kenner. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember Carroll. Okay, please vote on indefinite deferral.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 9C is a public hearing regarding resolution number B16429, a resolution authorizing the City Council for the City of Kenner to hold a public hearing to determine whether or not the building located at 3715 East Louisiana State Drive, Kenner, Louisiana, should not be repaired or demolished. Madam Chairman, we've received a request for a one-meeting deferral for this item.
Motion by Councilmember DeNapolis, second by Councilmember Black. Councilmember DeNapolis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Keith, this is basically we're waiting on a document to get this house demolished, or we're waiting on?
Well, basically, the curator notified me that she's not satisfied that she's gotten sufficient proof of notice. So as we always do, we err on the side of caution. We're going to ask for the deferral. The house is still a mess, and we're still moving forward. But, we, as customary, we always, err on the side of caution.
So are we going to do a one-meeting or two-meeting deferral?
I'm requesting a one-meeting deferral.
One-meeting deferral?
Actually,
Okay.
3 weeks.
And I just want to let the residents know who live around 3715 East Louisiana that by no means does this mean that we're not going to tear this house down. This house is in deplorable condition. It's just a matter of getting our house in order and making sure that we've done the proper notification publicly, so that we can move forward with the demolition. So, my commitment to the neighbors in the area is to still demolish that house. Thank you very much.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, council members vote on a one-meeting deferral.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 9D is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,637, an ordinance approving the lease of the existing building and improvements located on portions of original lots 7, 8, 9, and 10, square 40, Old Kenner Subdivision, Kenner, Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, bearing the municipal address of 405 Williams Boulevard, as shown on the attached survey by BFM Corporation dated July 8, 1993, for the sum of $740 per month for a 12-month term.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Black to open a public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
We're now in a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,637. I believe we have a presentation by Mr. Hebert.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam President. The property fronts Williams Boulevard and is located within the Rivertown Historic District in Council District 1. The subject is located on portions of lots 7, 8, 9, and 10, consisting of 3,307 square feet and measuring approximately 110 feet in length by 32 feet in width. Property zoned RTC 1PO, Rivertown Neighborhood Commercial with Planned Option District. The site contains a 1,849 square foot single-story wood-framed building that was constructed in 1911. The building has been used for numerous activities and most recently housed the Rivertown Visitor Center. The structure has been unoccupied since Hurricane Katrina. Gendusa Family Delights has offered to lease the building from the city for the purpose of using it as a Sicilian cafe and market, which is consistent with the permitted uses of the district. The correspondence was received from the utility companies, including the Jefferson Parish Department of Engineering and Veolia Water, all indicating no objection to the lease. An appraisal of the property was performed by Derby's and Associates on July 17, 2013, on behalf of the city of Kenner, estimating the fair market value of the property at $89,000 with a monthly rental rate at $740. The applicant has offered to lease the building from the city of Kenner at $740 per month. Based on review of the application, the Planning Commission and the Planning Department both recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Hebert. Is there anyone else from the audience wishing to address the council? Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Black to close public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Black. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. And again, this is the second month in a row we've had a property in the Rivertown area that will enhance the overall historical district of Rivertown and the overall development and the plan that we are trying to get to. I would like to amend today, because these are historic buildings, to ensure that, just like the building that was sold last month that supported the District 1 food bank, I would like to amend it to say that these monies should stay in District 1 for the renovations of the historical area and for drainage. So to make sure that when we lease these properties or sell it, the money stays, because this is a historical area, we want to make sure that we take the money and to ensure that we renovate when we have to and be able to help drainage our sewage, whatever it is. So I'll ask for your support to amend that the money stays in District 1 for renovations to the historic district of Rivertown and for drainage support.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Stagney. Is that already in the ordinance?
I didn't see it. Is it? I don't remember seeing it in the
No.
ordinance.
No,
Okay.
ma'am, it's not.
Okay. Does anybody want to speak on the amendment? Okay, so, I'm sorry, 1 second, guys, let me just write this. Who wants to speak on the amendment? Okay, so Councilmember Carroll, I'm going to give the floor back to you after the amendment, but I'm going to allow Councilmember Stagney is next in line. Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll support that amendment. There's great change going on in Rivertown, and I think it's for the positive. I think anything that we can do to turn around and take monies that we are getting from businesses that are renting and putting it back into that area will only enhance the eye. It would not be the first time that we as a body has done that. Councilman Carroll, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there an eye clinic? Rivertown Optical, that we did the same thing that we all voted on since Mr. Carroll's been in office. So I will support the amendment. And Madam Chairman, I will get a chance to speak on the
Yeah, I'm going to put you
General, okay.
next in line after I give the floor back to Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want one more commitment from Councilman Carroll. You said District 1. Do you mean Rivertown Historical District as opposed to, say, District 1, but you're targeting it strictly for the Rivertown Historical District? Is that correct? Yes. Great. I think it's a good move. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion on the amendment, council members, please vote.
This will be to amend.
For the amendment.
Councilman Carroll?
Councilman Carroll?
We're voting on the amendment. Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to amend.
All right, Councilmember Carroll, did you have any more to say?
Did he give it to you?
Okay, so, wait, excuse me, if everybody will turn off your lights for a second? Councilmember Carroll, would you put your light on? Councilmember Stagney? No, Councilmember DeNapolis, wait a second, please. Can you turn your light off, Councilmember DeNapolis? Councilmember Stagney? Can you put your, Councilmember Black? You had your light on before the amendment, okay. And Councilmember DeNapolis, I can go over if you don't. Councilmember DeNapolis, you can put it on now? Okay, sorry about that. We have to clear the slate when we do an amendment, when we do a vote. So, Councilmember Carroll, the floor goes back to you.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to thank everyone for the support, and obviously, and thank Jeannie for clearing up some of the verbiage to ensure that not only District 1, but for the historical area, Rivertown for District 1, to ensure that we're going to be doing a lot of things within District 1, and to ensure that, obviously, we need funding. And when we have an opportunity to sell a building or to lease a building, obviously, the funds have to go back in to improve, because a lot of the building we still own. So when we lease these buildings out, to be able to repair the buildings, to be able to help with the drainage or the sewage or whatever the case may be, it is important that we have some type of revenue source to do this. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Carroll. Councilmember Stagney?
Thank you, Madam President. I'm Joe Stagney, and I'm a cannoli eater. I admit that up front. You don't get to be this girth for just dieting all the time. Troy Gendusa is the owner of Gendusa Family Delights. You may not know this, but if you've gone to the Italian Heritage Festival, you've tasted his pastries and cannolis. They are delicious. I'm excited. I can't tell you how excited. I may have to buy some new clothes, but how excited I am that this is coming to Kenner, and specifically Rivertown, because I think that this will help enhance the cultural and theater experience in Rivertown, and it'll give another venue for those people going to the plays. So I'm excited. Madam President, since I do frequent the those cannolis as much as I do, I'd like to be second on that legislation if that's possible.
Yes, and Councilmember Black said that you would withdraw and allow for you to let the record reflect Councilmember Stagney second the approval of the.
Thank you, Madam President.
Councilmember Black, did you think of anything you had to say now? Yes, I did. Okay, I thought that would happen. Good.
Thank you. Everybody knows, everybody teases me because I've been living in Kenner all of my life, and that's been a very long time. But I want to tell you, when Williams Boulevard was our playground area, and they had the barber shop is the original location, but that was a library, our city library before that. I am so proud to see what this administration and Councilman Carroll have been able to do with restoring this historic place back to the citizens of Kenner. It's unfortunate, it's one of the secrets of our city that a lot of people don't know about in North Kenner. I'd like people to know that there's going to be a lot of activity there. There's a restaurant to the left of it. There's a meeting hall to the right of it. This is going to be a confections place where you can get cannolis and cuccidatas and all of the stuff that I love to make, and now I can enjoy somebody else's fruit of their labor. But I just want to tell you that the people who go to the theater, the little theater, or have dinner there will now have a place to go for desserts. I congratulate the Gendusa family, and I look forward to seeing it open, and I too will be frequenting it a lot too. Instead of going all the way down on Carrollton Avenue to get my cannolis, I won't name the place, but I think everybody knows, we can now go to Gendusa's Confectionaries at 405, was it 405? Williams Boulevard. So thank you, Gendusa family. Thank everybody for having a part in making this a success. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember DeNapolis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it looks like we're getting a second wave of invasion of Italians in Kenner. Anyway, which is all good, because I tell you, I recently, about 8 months ago, I was in New York, and I actually ate some of what they think is good Italian pastries, and let me tell you something, they can't handle handle what Tony does. I'm telling you, it can't. I was actually absolutely disappointed, so I'll be definitely going there and getting those cannolis as well. So once again, to the administration and Gregory Carroll, what a fine job. Once again, bringing a little more charm to Kenner, and that's definitely going to be a charming place to go. Thank you very much, administration, and for putting this forward. Thanks.
Okay, Councilmember DeFrancis.
Thank you, Council President. Excuse me, I have a little sore throat, but again, I've always said in the past, Rivertown is the heart of our city. That's where Kenner first started, and so it's wonderful to bring new life into that area, and the administration and Councilman Carroll and this council have worked together, I believe, to make that happen. And I simply want to say, bringing another new restaurant there is going to help the existing restaurants. I think it'll attract people there, and that's what we want. We want people to see what we have to offer in Rivertown. We have so much. Benvenuti alla famiglia Gendusa. Gracias.
Mayor Yenny.
You know, I've always said that, you know, this city is very fortunate to have two crown jewels as far as Rivertown and Laketown. And, you know, Laketown's still in its early stages with a lot of life coming very soon. And Rivertown has had its highs and its lows, and I think it's on a road that it's never been on before. And our administration could not have done it without the support of the council. And Councilman Carroll said it best when he said that, you know, we have to still continue to fund taking care of these buildings, and it's very, very difficult to continue doing that. We just had a meeting in my office earlier this week that Mr. Marcoli called, and I commend him for calling it, because he says, before I look at doing some improvements to certain buildings, Mayor, what do you plan on trying to sell next? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get these buildings off the tax rolls, off the city rolls, get them back on the tax rolls so we can have some sales tax and property tax generated through these buildings and get walking traffic into Rivertown. Rivertown probably hasn't had the walking traffic that it's had now since probably Miss Black was a little girl, right, Jeannie? So, I mean, really, when you go there at night now, and Councilman Reno, you'd think that was part of District 3, as much time as he spends in Rivertown at the comedy club and the theater. And I know Councilman Donopoulos just went and bought some season tickets today. So it's, we've got some new life by some new leadership in the buildings down there. Governor Darden, as y'all all know, because I believe y'all all attended, when he came down, when we opened the DMV, he's looking forward to christening Rivertown as part of the Main Street program. That probably wasn't even a concept, that this city was even thinking about almost 8 years ago. So now we're actually getting it on the map, trying to help make it a destination. And I, along with Councilman Carroll, hope that one day, instead of sinking money into taking care of buildings, we can spend that money on things that really needs to drive some tourism down there, and we're already on the road to do that. So thank you for this, and hopefully we'll have some more coming. Mr. Hebert ought to go into real estate, but Michelle, I'm trying not to give you any competition, because he's done a very good job helping us, market these buildings. And when I meet anybody that says I may want to open a business in Kenner, I'm just not sure where, I always say, we may be able to sell you a building pretty cheap. So I send him immediately to Jay, and he's got some good prospects out there that are in the development business that want to do some things in Rivertown. So thank you all for y'all's support on this, and we hope this is the first of many. It's all about trying to make sure people don't have to leave this city to go anywhere else, and getting them back into Rivertown is very important to me. Thank you.
Well, I'll have to let Mr. Hebert take the bull by the horn until, as long as I'm in office. That would be a conflict, so after June, Mr. Hebert, you'll have some competition. And I wanted to say before I let you speak, Mr. Hebert, I don't want to take anything away from Councilmember Carroll. I mean, it's obvious that the Rivertown has never seen such life, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it's happened just because at the same time that you got in office, I think that that was something that you had vowed would be a priority, and certainly you have stepped up in that regard. But I also want to congratulate this administration, and I'm embarrassed that I did not know at the last meeting, and this is just a reflection of that, that the mayor was awarded, I don't even know what the name of the award was, from JETCO for your vision in economic development. What was it? Chairman's Award. And this is just one example of why that was awarded to you, because never have we seen so much I don't even know what the word is, but just in every section of the city of Kenner, we've had this energy of economic development. So, and this is just another example of that. So, again, I don't want to take any credit for Mr. Carroll for the progress made in Rivertown, but it just seemed appropriate to mention that at this time. I'm sorry, Mr. Abear. Wouldn't wish that on you.
Madam Chairman, just for clarification, the amendment to the ordinance is that the revenues received by way of the lease agreement will be dedicated for improvements within the Rivertown Historic District?
District 1 Historic District.
Okay.
Correct, Mr. Carroll? Rivertown, wait, let me give you a mic so that this is on record. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to make sure that that's correct, Jay, but also if you can have a slash too for renovation and slash drainage improvements.
Sure.
Just in Rivertown.
And I believe that, is that it, Mr. Abear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you now have the floor to close.
Yeah, thank you. And again, thanks for everybody's support. Obviously, we all have a part in it, and I am no more important or involved in it than everybody else on it because everyone on the council, everyone in the administration understand the historic value of the Rivertown area. Also, I would like Mr. Mayor because when we sold the other building, some of the people who've been living in Kenner a long time, they're a little bit apprehensive thinking that we are going to commercialize the area to the point. But, Mr. Mayor, if you will elaborate that on the historical committee that we have to ensure we have something in place that we're not going to just, throw it out the window for people to come in and to take away what we value so much.
Well, and of course, Mr. Abear can tell you that between the historical committee, there's an architectural review committee, the Merchants Association, and of course, also the council. I mean, there are only certain things that can happen down there, and as much commercial as we want to get in, we would never want it to be any type of commercial that would be a nuisance to the neighbors. And we are very careful about that, with what comes over there. Not, I guess if somebody came to us with something that we knew would be very upset of, I'm not going to push Rivertown on. So, we're going to use our good judgment on that. But of course, the sale of that building or the use of it's coming before the council anyway, so it'll have its public hearing, and we'll be able to do that. But the things we've been trying to go after are anything as far as offices, restaurants,
Yes.
Dessert-type places, as we've done here, the Castle Theater, things that are going to bring people down there and foot traffic, nothing that would be a nuisance to such an area that has the ambiance that Rivertown has.
Right. And thank you very much. And I just wanted to go on record, everybody to understand that it will be conducive to the area, and that's our goal. That will be my goal as long as I'm on the council, and that is the understanding of everyone in this building. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution temporarily suspending Council Rule Number 11 of the Rules of Organization, Business, Order, and Procedure of the Council of the City of Kenner and rescheduling the Kenner City Council agenda deadline to January 17, 2014 at noon for the council meeting of January 23, 2014.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Stagney, and this is being done because of the Martin Luther King holiday, I believe, with the deadlines for the paper to get these in. So, seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution reappointing Raphael Sadi to the City of Kenner Planning and Zoning Commission.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember DeFrancis. This is really just a formality. Mr. Sadi, was not aware that my appointment, it had expired, and he'd been continuing to serve without being reappointed. So I just wanted to ratify that and let Mr. Sadi know how much we appreciate not only what he does by serving on this board, but everything that he does for the city of Kenner. But specifically tonight, we're reappointing him to the Kenner Planning and Zoning. Councilmember DeFrancis, did you wish to speak? Okay.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to congratulate Mr. Sadi. He does live in District 4 in Chateau Lakefront, and he has served for a long time and has been a very effective member, and I just want to thank him as well as Councilwoman Brannigan, our Council President, for his service.
Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13C is a resolution requesting the Louisiana Congressional Delegation to support legislation to delay the flood insurance rate hikes contained in the Biggert Waters Flood Insurance Reform Act and other related matters.
Motion by Councilmember Stagney, second by Councilmember DeFrancis. Okay, wait. Councilmember DeFrancis, can you take your light off for a second? No, not at all. Okay, now you can put it back on. Thank you. Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. In these chambers, about 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting and sent letters out to about 133 homeowners, which were in an X, which is a no-flood zone, who, after the digital FEMA maps came back, they were switched to an AE zone. Since then, people have written their congressmen and U.S. senators. The parish, with input from the city, has appealed at least some of that. And Mr. Quigley was here. The parish was nice enough to have Ms. Michelle Gonzalez here from their department. And I'm going to let Mr. Quigley go and say a few words regarding what we talked about and where we're going from here.
Yeah, that night we had quite a few concerned citizens that came because they would be adversely affected by this new act. And as Councilman Stagney just said, Michelle Gonzalez, who is the floodplain manager for Jefferson Parish, came with some other people from, I believe, Baton Rouge, from FEMA offices to address and talk to the Kettner residents about this. And essentially, we advised them that Kenner, along with Jefferson Parish, sent a letter to FEMA asking them to reconsider or to appeal some of the areas in Kenner that were on the flood insurance rate map that we feel should not be in there. Some of those homes have historically not even flooded. So in the letter that the parish sent on our behalf, they appealed to have them change how it's hydraulically or hydrologically modeled. Apparently, right now they use what is called an HEC, and they feel that this HEC type of modeling does not accurately portray the characteristics of the networks of our drainage. And they suggested that it goes to an SWMM5 type of modeling, all of which is engineering type terms, but the bottom line is that we are asking to appeal so that perhaps all of Kenner would become in a much better type of digital flood insurance rate maps. So this particular letter was sent off to FEMA. Unfortunately, it was categorized as a comment as opposed to an appeal. So we do have that comment on record. At this point, the 90-day appeal period has ended, so our comment is recorded in the register. Now, to our knowledge, the D-firm has not been officially enacted, but again, we have those 133 people, homes that Councilman Stagney referred to, and many of them came to the meeting. Now, even though they may be in that particular area of the map, those people can get a survey and see if all of their house is actually above the base flood elevation. And if they do that, we offered to them that they can come to code enforcement and get what's called a LOMA, which is a letter of map adjustment, which they can give to their insurance company. So even though the D-firm their homes may be in a bad area or an AE area in terms of the D-firm maps, if they do get a flood elevation now, it probably costs them maybe $250 or $300, but it may be money well spent, because if they can prove that all of their home is actually above the base flood elevation, they can get this LOMA, and again, they can come to code enforcement, and we'll assist them with getting the LOMA, and they can take it to their insurance agent, and then, of course, then they can maybe qualify for the better flood insurance.
And I don't want anybody at home to mistake. That cannot happen. Getting your flood elevation certificate cannot happen until FEMA actually adopts that D-firm map. And the reason we're putting this resolution on is because the comment period did close. And there are homeowners that are subject to anywhere from 2 to 3 to even 10 times the expense on their flood insurance. And they're going to be people, and I'm not saying here in Kenner, but they're going to be people in other areas that are just going to turn in their keys. The flood insurance is going to dwarf any mortgage they may have. So what we decided to try to do was to ask our U.S. Senators, Mary Landrieu and David Vitter, as well as for this area, Congressman Steve Scalise and Cedric Richmond, to please look into this and contact FEMA and start putting the pressure that we need for them to maybe look at the hydrology and maybe figure it a different way. So I'd ask for everyone's support on it, and I do appreciate Mr. Quigley, the administration, as well as the parish sending people out to answer everyone's questions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember DeFrancis.
Thank you, Council President. It is very important that we support this resolution. If you have a mortgage, you need to have flood insurance. And unfortunately, I've had calls from people who have told me that if this goes through, they will not be able to afford flood insurance, and therefore they will, again, lose their home. And it's not fair because many of these people have never had their homes flooded, and yet they are being penalized anyway. So again, it's very important that we support this resolution. Try to make sure that these people are treated fairly. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13D is a resolution approving the First Amendment to the 1985 Airport Expansion Agreement by and between the City of New Orleans, the Parish of St. Charles, the City of Kenner, and the New Orleans Aviation Board concerning the nomination and selection of the St. Charles Parish representative to the New Orleans Aviation Board. Madam Chairman, we've received a request to indefinitely defer this item.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Black for an indefinite deferral. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda.
We have none.
Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 11,640, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from BLD Services, LLC, in the amount of $784,800 for the Yellowstone Street at Platt Street Lift Station and Force Main project in accordance with seal bid number 13-6181 for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember DeNapolis, second by Councilmember Black. Councilmember DeNapolis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, this is, another project of sewage treatment and improvement in District 5, and the lift station at Yellowstone is constantly giving the residents in the Seton Park and Woodlick area trouble. We had, earlier in the previous years, we had repaired the ones that were actually giving us the trouble, mostly in University City. Now this is the one that actually is towards the northwest side of Kenner, and it's been, any time's too soon. So I really appreciate us moving forward with this legislation, and I think we're going to get a lot of relief in that area. Thank you much, Council President.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 11,641, an ordinance approving an agreement with Linfield, Hunter, and Junius Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $2,150,000 for program management professional services associated with the Kenner 2030 plan for the Department of Public Works. Madam Chairman, I've also received a request to defer this item for one meeting.
Motion by Councilmember Stagney. Second by Councilmember Carroll for a one-meeting deferral. Anybody wish to speak on the deferral? Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. This has been a contract that the administration hashed out with Linfield, Junius, and Hunter and Junius. And they did this over quite a period of time. We got this contract on the last meeting, and it's a complex contract. I've looked over some of it. I have some amendments, but I would prefer if we could take it up the first meeting in January and move forward from that point. I'd ask for courtesy from my colleagues. This is a contract, one of the biggest that we've seen since we passed a charter amendment that the citizens of the voters of our city said that they want this stuff aired out in public. So I would ask for your support on a deferral, just one meeting, and try to address this at our next meeting. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, please vote on a one-meeting deferral.
Madam Chairman, motion fails. 2-5. Council members Brannigan, Rayno, Black, DeFrances, and Annapolis are opposed.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan on approval. Anyone wish to speak? Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last council meeting, we discussed this. In fact, we pulled something really that we're not supposed to do, just ask questions, yes or no, on first reading, because we don't discuss it. We received a lot of good response from that. We've had the committee that has looked into this. We saw the ratings on this firm. We've gotten, some of the people in the audience came up and stated how they thought that this was a very responsible firm, and I don't want to hold anything up. I want to get this done, and so that we don't have to face this over the holidays. Let's enjoy the holidays, get our jobs done, do what we have to do, and I think that we've shown due diligence in obtaining this firm. It's not as though we haven't been thinking about this or discussing this. We've had ample time, and I'm ready to move forward with it. So that's why I voted against the deferral. I'm ready to vote for it. Thank you.
Councilmember DeFrances.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, there were some issues raised at the last meeting. Everyone had an opportunity to look into those issues that were raised, and I've not heard from anyone who had a problem with it since. And there's another issue, too, here, because I looked at the ranking of this firm. This firm was ranked number 1. It had the highest ranking in professionalism, in their ability to follow timelines, et cetera. All the way across, they were ranked number 1. So when we have due diligence, when we follow procedure, and the firm that's selected was ranked the highest, then I don't see a problem. And again, there were no calls. No one made a call to me about any problems during this past week. No issues were raised. So I'm going to be supporting Councilman Black to move forward.
Okay. Councilmember Black to close. Oh, okay. Councilmember Black, would you take off your light and put it back on? Take it off and put it back on. Okay, Councilmember Stagney?
Thank you, Madam President. Can I have either the clerk or the assistant clerk? I'd prefer to have more time to go through the entire contract in depth. Yeah, hand them out if you can, one to you, each council member, the mayor, CAO, and I think city attorney. These amendments
Black, Brannigan.
are designed to have some involvement. Well, let me go over them on page 2 of the contract, number 26. The program manager provides an opinion as need be on substitute construction and materials, and I want to add to that another sentence that says substitute construction materials equipment can only be determined by the chief building official for the city of Kenner. That's in state law. I don't want there to be a situation that any program manager can change what our chief building official is supposed to sign off on. If I can, I'm going to go through these, and maybe we can just, Mr. City Attorney, is it possible we could just do them in globo? It does not substantially change any part of the contract, but it puts some safeguards in place.
What I suggest, instead of amending the contract, you just put it in the body of the ordinance, because you can't really amend the contract from the floor that's been negotiated, but you can put it in your ordinance that has the same effect.
All right.
So, and like your first one could be section 2 under the.
Well, why don't we just say section 2 and say the following amendments and attach what I've handed out?
fine.
Okay, but I want to go over it just to show the general public that we're looking at this, looking at it as strongly and as hardly as we can, as hard as we can, to try to protect the public and their taxpayer money. On page 2, number 28, we get monthly reports on the spending and expenditures of the city, revenues and expenditures. Prepare timely monthly reports to the owner and each city council member itemizing the construction progress, including the names, fees, and description of service from all contractors, subcontractors, and consultants, contract cost, and other milestones. And that's in line with what we get with expenditures by other departments. This is a large program that we're doing, up to maybe $37 million. The council should oversee this at some point and have some oversight. So it simply puts in place that the council would receive the same things that the director for the Public Works would receive. On page 3 of the contract, number 32, replace that with, it says on there, attend council meetings as associated with the contract. Simply replace that language with attend council meetings and other meetings as requested by the owner, which is the mayor under the contract, the director, which is director of public works, or any city councilman to discuss issues associated with the project, specifically if there's a project that happens in a particular neighborhood. On the second page of the handout, page 7, section 11, it's under general. All trade resident inspectors must be certified by the Louisiana State Universal Construction Code Council. I called the contractors board with two questions. I received some information. One is I thought that maybe this engineering firm needed a license to be a program monitor. They do not. The engineering license covers that. But if we're going to have resident inspectors, those inspectors, like our code employees, should be certified under the Construction Code Council. Additionally, page 9, section 17, Code of Ethics, adding a section that says, you know, so many times you get articles in the paper where they say we benefit somehow from something, or you've seen Louisiana purchased, I guess, in either the Advocate or the Times-Picayune, and another, I think they said Kenner purchased. You know, we have to send a message to the general public that those of us who are voting on this, those of us who are performing the program management, are not benefiting in any way off something that we are voting for. So page 9, section 17, to add a paragraph that says no immediate family member as defined in RS 42-1102 of the program manager, owner, director, or any member of the city council shall participate as a subcontractor, resident inspector, or consultant under this contract, nor the projects under the 2030 plan. And I think these give some assurance that we're overseeing the projects that are going on, that we're not in any way going to benefit from a large expenditure designed to enhance our city. And I'd ask for your support.
Mr. Quigley.
Well, I'd like to comment about the first one, where it says, page 2, number 26, add substitute construction materials / equipment can only be determined by the chief building official for the city of Kenner. And primarily, this is a roads project, and our chief building official, of course, is James, and I don't know that, I think his expertise is more in buildings. And I think the whole idea of hiring architects and engineers that stamp the plans, I mean, they're certifying, and they're using it, by them stamping, they're certifying that the materials and equipment that is being specified is sufficient or exceeds standards. So, I mean, from this standpoint, I think this may be overkill, and we might even be getting into an area where our chief building official is not really the expertise. I think the whole idea of hiring the architect and an engineer is for them to stamp the plans in the first place. And I think, Jose, you could probably elaborate more on that than I can, but I think this may be hamstringing us somewhat.
And I tend to agree with that statement. This project, all 10 projects covered under this program are primarily roadway, drainage, and utility relocations with some amount of landscape. I'm somewhat concerned about code enforcement, you know, specifically the chief building official being involved with decision-making process on roadway, drainage, utility relocations like water or sewer, and landscape, you know, type of questions that may come up. So, you know, sure, you know, if there's anything pertaining to a building, I would not object to this. But I don't know if the chief building official would be the proper person. I think in the agreement, you know, that there is verbiage in the agreement that indicates that any substitute of construction materials must be pre-approved by the Director of Public Works and with the recommendation of the program manager.
Are you finished? Okay. Council member, or what? You were. Okay, you can do that to close. Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, we talked about all of these things that we want to have, discuss these things to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And one of the things that was said was that a deferral was asked for because they wanted to have time to go over some more of the questions that they had. But obviously, a lot of questions have been addressed in regards to all of these amendments. I have a problem with most of them because we discussed this at a meeting this afternoon in which I sat in with Councilman Stagney and Councilman Brannigan, and we talked about most of the things that are in here. None of us up here are experts. I have to rely on the people who come up and talk about the project managers. We can't dictate how we run a project or how all the things that we've already discussed to put into the contract. We could suggest about different things, but none of these amendments really pertain to good government other than, from what we have to do up here. We have to make sure that this project is run precisely. We have to make sure that the professionals know what they're doing, and have the leeway to accomplish the job that they have to do. So what Mr. Gonzalez said, what we have talked about with Mr. Quigley, they've worked with these contractors, they've worked with the engineering firms, they're going to be working with the project manager. As long as they do a good job and they don't do anything illegal, I think that we should leave the professionalism up to the people who are going to be accomplishing, and that's the engineering firm, the project manager, inspectors, or whomever. So I'm not going to support these because, for one thing, I really haven't had enough time, as we would often say, to digest something. And obviously, there's been more things digested, and I'm glad we didn't vote for a deferral today because obviously this was all well planned out and all the questions were addressed. I mean, I hate to be the person who is like talking of the Dr. Doom or anything. It's the Christmas season and I try to be nice, but this is not something that I want to do right now in regards to voting on something that declares that this has to be put into the contract and that this is the way it's got to be done and taking the professionalism out of it. So I'm not going to be supporting them. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Yenny.
Look, I can be the first person to tell you, I don't draft contracts in the city of Kenner. I don't have 41 years of expertise as a professional engineer like Mr. Gonzalez does. He's the one that came up with this contract, as he's done this for over the past 41 years. He's done an excellent job since he's been part of the city of Kenner. He did a superb job when he was a public works director in Jefferson Parish. anytime any council member ever requests any contractor, any professional to ever speak at any public forums, address this council, I have never said no. My administration will never say no. You will always have an open dialogue with anybody doing work with this city, especially on a contract like this that you speak on. I mean, putting it in writing is fine, but I mean, we've never stopped that from happening. We're not going to do that today. So, you know, especially the chief building official one, the first one, we definitely have a problem with that because, you know, this is going to be a lot of roadway work that's going to happen along with aesthetics and all. And I mean, some of these things could slow some of the projects down. I have confidence in Linfield Hunter and Junius. I have confidence in Mr. Gonzalez that this is all going to be done above board, and there will be no Kenner purchased with this administration. I can assure you that.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. And, you know, I don't want to go back, rehash all how we've got to this point where we all voted on. That's not relevant right now. I think that the train is out of the station as far as it relates to that. I also want to agree with Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Quigley about two. I can live with that because Mr. Mohammed expertise is with the building. So this doesn't really give us a good place to have someone in his expertise for this particular contract. But I do believe the rest of them are some things that I will be more comfortable with to support it if these amendments are put in place, because what it does is, in my opinion, it is our responsibility not to micromanage the professionals, and I would never do that. I happen to believe the particular firm in place is a reputable one and will do a good job. That has never been my position on this. I just believe as a council person, even though we will always get the support of the administration, to put it in the contract to say that it is a law or it is what we have to do, I'm more comfortable with these amendments, excluding the first one, for me to be able to support this tonight, even though contrary what my position has been in the past. But this gives me a better position on being able to support this tonight, excluding number one. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Carroll. My only comments were, one, I just want to clarify, Councilmember Black said something, and I just don't want anybody to think that we did anything improper at the last meeting. What we did, we asked the city attorney, and he concurred that you can have a yes or no question on something on for first reading. So we did not violate any rule by allowing for that. I think the only point in bringing that up was that there was some questions that had come up in Councilmember Stagney's mind at that time, and he needed clarification so he could do his homework. So he admittedly had some concerns and had been looking at it and needed, these 2 weeks to go over these things. However, we did meet earlier today, and I asked what amendments there would be so that we could discuss them and see. Sometimes you need to talk to several people to see what the consequence of an amendment to something would be, whether it's from a departmental thing, whether it's from the project managers or the person who's given that we're contracting with, and we're just getting this tonight. So that's not to say that amendments haven't been given from the floor, but I think that several of these we discussed at the meeting, and we're satisfied with the answers that under the contract, they will attend council meetings and other meetings, civic meetings, and meet with council members. But let me remind everybody that they're paid hourly. So this is a contract where we only use them when we use them. They get paid, and there's a cap as to how much the money the contract will provide for. Yes, they get paid hourly to attend meetings. Yes, is that correct? That's correct. That's correct. So let's not, divide. Everybody think that they're so important that everybody has to have an individual meeting. I mean, what I'm saying is we need to understand that all of these things cost money. So we were already told that that's in the contract. We already know the ethics law that an immediate family member cannot profit. I mean, so some of these things maybe we're reiterating, and I can appreciate that Councilmember Stagney wants to let the public know, and we want to join him in letting the public know that we this is an important contract, and these things we want to be in place so that they're protected. But a lot of these things, we already got the answers that they already exist. As far as the resident inspectors certified by a construction code council, don't know a thing about that. If that was really important, I would have liked Tom to figure out what that was about. And the last thing, the monthly reports, we were already told that we could request that. So a lot of these things I agree with in principle in terms of that we want to assure the public that we are giving as much oversight to this contract, but I also believe that a lot of these things are already in place and have already been answered, and I was satisfied with the answers. So I won't be voting for these amendments because I don't know how some of them affect the contract, and I'm satisfied the things that I was concerned about have been answered to my satisfaction. All right. I know, I understand, but I got other people. So, all right, Councilmember Carroll, you were done. Mr. Stagney, before you close, I have Mr. Conley wanted to speak, and I guess is it a clarification of a legal?
Yeah, after reviewing this, if I remember correctly, when this charter was amended, Section 2.9 by referendum was to ratify any contracts with professional service contracts over $100,000. Ratifies an approval, vote up or down. Looking now at these amendments while y'all were speaking, this is actually replacing provisions and amending the actual contract, which I think goes further than what the intent of this council was when it amended Section 2.09. So I think the only choice you have is to either vote it up or down at this point.
Okay, so, but there is an amendment on the floor, and I guess if we would vote, they would have to be challenged. I mean, I can't not allow for a vote, I would think, of something
I'm just
that's on
giving my
the floor.
legal opinion
Okay,
and take it for what it's.
thank you. And Mr. Gonzalez, did you want to say something else before Councilmember Stagney closes?
Yes, ma'am. With regards to Section 11, I'm not familiar with the Louisiana State Universal Construction Code Council, but I am familiar with DO certified personnel. And DOTD certified personnel, as far as resident inspection services are concerned, is always a must on state and federal aid projects. So yes, we will be securing resident inspectors that have DOTD certifications, and certifications come in different fields. You can have certifications in concrete, you can have certifications in asphalt. I mean, there's like 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of certifications, and the DOTD normally refers to those certifications as DOTD certified inspectors. And it could very well be the Louisiana State Universal Construction Code Council, but I have never heard that verbiage before. But I am familiar with DOTD certified inspectors, and I can assure you that we will be retaining DOTD certified inspections, especially when some of these projects, in all likelihood, are going to go federal aid.
Well, if you don't know, you know we don't know.
Well,
Okay, Councilmember Stanley, I apologize. I know I told you we were going to close next, but Councilmember DeNapolis put their light on. So if you would remove your light and then put it right back on, that would be helpful. Councilmember DeNapolis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, this is the first time I'm seeing these amendments, and I'm kind of wrestling with them a little bit. And I'm trying to see, basically, how they apply and what would happen. My biggest concern with several of these right now is that, we lost nearly $2 million because of a frivolous lawsuit that got taken away from these projects, okay? And let me tell you what that hurt, okay? That hurt putting $1 million into Kenner City Park, okay? And let me tell you, when I see a project happen in my district and I don't see it going right, it's going slow, things don't go right, that's when I go in and say, okay, I want to get the materials in front of me, I want to take a look at what's going on, I want to get my grasp around and see why it's going on. And twice under my watch, we've actually gotten those contractors to pay damages, okay? So that's, each councilman looks at what's going on in their district and should be very diligent at what's happening. And, if the reporting gets to be this detailed and we're paying by the hour, and that's taking money away from possibly getting that money to my Kenner City Park, and I'm sure this is going to add costs to this contract. And I'd rather see brick and mortar, okay? You know, it's the first time I'm seeing these, and you know, we all take oaths about, we take tests with the state about our participation as family members with anything that happens with the state, the city, or anything that we govern. We take these ethic tests, and the public should know that we already do this. This is already in place. You know, we take these tests and we certify and ratify that we don't get involved in these sort of things. So, I just got issues with some of this, Joe. I'm sorry. The first time I'm looking at these, and a lot of this stuff, it's already in practice. I mean, I know when it comes to projects in my district, all of these are definitely in practice all the time, 24/7. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember DeFrancis?
Thank you, Council President. I just want to point out that Councilwoman Brannigan made some very relevant comments and talked about that many of these things are redundant. And let me point out, redundancy does not make a contract better. That's number one. And number two, when you look at page 2, number 28, again, I looked at the report this afternoon, and this company has no problem with keeping their timeline and giving reports in a timely manner based on the scoring that they receive. So again, I see these as redundant, and I don't see that they would improve or the contract. Councilman Dinopoulos pointed out some very, I think, relevant points as well. I think this council, every council member believes in being on top of projects, and they work hard to make sure that in their district, those projects go forward in the best way possible. So I'm not going to be supporting it either. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Councilmember Stagney to close on the amendment.
Thank you, Madam President. First, the chief building official under state law is the one who determines it, the construction materials or alternative materials. It doesn't mean this council doesn't, the mayor authorizes somebody to be the chief building official. Now, they gather information from all the experts, but somebody with the city of Kenner has to be responsible and oversee what happens and be responsible if there is a problem. I mean, we get so caught up in going out and doing projects that sometimes we don't go back and check. A perfect example is the base flood elevation of our electrical consoles on the sewage issue. We had to go back and lift giant electrical consoles because we didn't inspect it from our code enforcement department. This is real world stuff, and I think it's minor, but it's designed to make sure that somebody with the city of Kenner is responsible, not an independent program manager under this contract. Somebody with the city is responsible and held under state law that's supposed to do that. Now, if I thought the amendment could pass without that, I'd still pull that out, even though I think there's a great basis for having it. Second part, these amendments are designed to give the city council, the governing authority for this city, the same reporting data, the same information that the director gets and the mayor gets. Many years in this city, the council never got any reports. It wasn't until, I don't know, less than 10 years ago that we started getting monthly reports. It wasn't until we did some things in the charter that allowed input on contracts before they were signed, not after. The general public is asking for us to do some things that they can see, that they can touch, and they know we're not profiting from this. Some of the ethics laws do apply to what we're talking about. That's already in the contract. But the ethics law that I just said, or the amendment that I wanted to put on, it makes sure that the program manager, the owner, the director, and none of us or any immediate family member related to any of us can make any money on this. Nobody can question us voting for this, saying we're going to derive some benefit later. Now, because this is going to fail, I'm going to go ahead and say I like the firm. I've worked with the Junis firm. When we renovated West Napoleon and Williams, they did the CVS. He helped get a road paved that the city didn't have to do anything for. Mr. Cantrell has a long history of this city, done over $1 million of work when Louis Congemi was mayor. And he's participated on the front end, and everybody knew he was going to participate on the back end of this plan. But I can't, in my heart, vote for something that if we can't put minor safeguards in place to show the public that we're taking care of their taxpayer dollar, I have a hard time voting for something like that. These are minor language to put inside the contract. Anyway, I appreciate your time, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Stagney. Okay, on the amendments, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion fails. Council members 2 to 5, Council members Brannigan, Rayno, Black, DeFrances, and Annapolis are opposed.
Okay, so back to the original motion that's on the floor. Councilmember Stagney, goes back to you, so you want to put your light on so I can give you the mic? No. Councilmember Stagney had the floor because he put the amendment on. Now that the amendment's gone, he has the floor back.
Thank you, Madam President. Has the administration compared, this is roughly $2.1 million contract. You could hire an engineer for $200,000 a year for the next 10 years and still be cheaper than the overall price. Did we compare what it would be to hire someone well-qualified with the city to oversee this contract? I'm sorry, the 2030 plan.
I have. To manage a program of this magnitude, roughly $37 million, probably in excess of 10 projects, it will require more than one professional engineer. It's going to require, in all likelihood, 2 professional engineers, a high-tech, technician, clerical personnel, and inspectors. So I have estimated the cost of all that work over a 4-year period to be around the same amount or perhaps more than what is being charged by the program manager. Keep in mind that in order to get 2 high-quality engineers with experience in plan preparation, construction, DOTD guidelines, and federal guidelines, in all likelihood, with that kind of experience, you're going to be looking at no less than $100,000 apiece. So you're looking at $200,000 there. Then you got to deal with technicians. You got to deal with a bookkeeper, or you got to deal with an accountant, because there will be a lot of invoices for, the program management services or the design consultants and the contractors and so on, and you're going to have clerical work. At the end of the day, if you add those salaries, okay, and you use a multiplier of 1.33 or whatever the city's multiplier is for benefits, retirements, insurance, and annual leave and sick leave and all of that, the cost with those 5 or 6 individuals over a 4-year period is going to be very close, perhaps a little bigger than this sum of money that is going to be paid on an hourly basis. And then after 4 years, what do we do with those individuals? Do we let them go? Do we hire them under the concept that this is a 4-year program? Yes, you may have some individuals that will come under that concept, knowing that it's a 4-year program, and at the end of 4 years, they're going to be dismissed. But then you may have other ones that will simply say, no, I will not come in under those conditions because I need a long-term job. But yes, I have compared, and it's going to take more than one individual. It's going to take 5 or 6 individuals to manage a program of this size, magnitude, and complexity.
Now, inside the contract, you're saying it's only an hourly fee, but inside the contract, don't you have an hourly fee and a multiplier?
What
like
we have on the
10% over?
Okay.
So you're paying, let's say it's a direct employee of the program manager's firm, they're billing, and then you're coming back after that, and whatever that total amount is, they're doing an additional 10% above that. Is that correct? No. That fee plus 10%?
No. That's negative. What you read on attachment 8 when you're talking about the 10% or the 5%, okay, that applies to only sub-consultants that may be necessary by the program manager to help them with the services of program management. At this point in time, I don't envision, hardly any sub-consultants to be working for the program managers, even though in their statements of qualifications, they have shown a sub-consultant that is electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. If that sub-consultant is used, and let's say they charge the program management services $1,000 for the services to review a set of plans, well, the program manager will be entitled to charge 10% of $1,000 and invoice the city for whatever, $1,100. But the program manager, and this is what may be misinterpreted, the program manager will not be invoicing 1.10% or 1.05% of the invoices of the design consultants or the invoices of the construction contractors. It only applies to sub-consultants that are being used by the program manager for program management duties. So, and that's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be minimal. And it's a surcharge for the program manager, and it all
Right, but
falls
Mr.
under the
Gonzalez, if
same.
the program manager did it himself, it would be the $1,000. But you're saying if they hire a subcontractor, it'll be the $1,000 plus the 10%.
If there is a need. If there is a need for them to
Well,
hire a
it's in
sub-consultant.
the contract. I assume that it's in the contract for a reason.
No, they apply under the SOQ with a sub-consultant. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will use a sub-consultant.
No, but the language allows them, would you agree the language allows them to do that under this contract?
Right. The language allows for the program manager to hire a sub-consultant if need be. On the SOQ, the sub-consultant that they shown, okay, which is an electrical, mechanical, and plumbing sub-consultant, if you look at the SOQ, it's only going to apply on an as-needed basis, if need be. I don't foresee, much work being done by the sub-consultant. It's too early to tell. But if there is work, and let's say they charge $1,000, then the program manager would be entitled to charge 10% over the $1,000 when they invoice the city. But all of that is part of the fee. It's going to be covered by the fee. And the sub-consultant is going to have to work on an hourly basis, and it's going to have to conform with the hourly rate established in Attachment A.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. With the amendments that I put up before, and I didn't even get to delve into this as much as I wanted to, I let Ms. Black and Ms. Brannigan know while we were in the meeting, they were being typed up, and they were. I would prefer to have more time to look at this. I know I have questions, and we had a 2-week period. You took longer than that to negotiate this contract, and yet it needs to be rubber stamped or ratified in a very short order. And personally, I feel like more time should be spent. We should send a better message to the general public that we are looking over these tax dollars and tightening up these contracts as best we can. Maybe a process. I do appreciate that a process was in place. Maybe in the future we could put together a more technical committee that is independent of the administration and of the council. But I can't vote for this at this time. There are still too many questions. I would have preferred to get some of those amendments on there. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Before Councilmember Black closes, we're going to have, I'm going to give Mayor Yenny the floor. Oh, you can just put your light, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No, and I want to assure y'all that when we started this whole process with the 2030 plan, I automatically asked Jose, what will we need to do it in-house? Now, keep in mind, this administration has cut over $8.5 million and 135 jobs. So we're not looking to just add jobs because we're trying to get things done through, to make these projects happen. And here you got a firm that Councilman Stagney brought to me years ago when the CVS happened and introduced me to the firm and said, I'd like to, see that we get them in Kenner because they're a good firm. And I can't agree with him more. They're an excellent firm. They have a great staff. I'm familiar with their offices now and their supports team. It's way more. We're getting way more with this firm than we could ever even imagine hiring in the city of Kenner. No question. And like Councilman Dinopoulos said, bricks and mortar is what this council has always asked of the Munez administration and the Yenny administration, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to now make up a deficit of monies we lost and trying to do things the best we can. I committed to Councilman Carroll. I wanted to do something with LaSalle's Landing. Councilman Denopoulos wants the park. Councilman Stagney asked for 32nd Street to have things done. We're trying to do the best we can to make sure we add projects and try to come out at the end of the day with more than 10 projects. And that's why we're trying to do what we can to work with other entities to do that. I can assure you this firm's going to be the firm to help us do that based on the recommendations of Mr. Gonzalez. And I have full faith in Mr. Gonzalez. He's been doing this for 41 years. We also went outside the city of Kenner and asked Mr. Walter Brooks, the head of the RPC, to sit on the evaluation committee of this. So we didn't do it just in-house with Mr. Quigley and Mr. Gonzalez or Mr. Hebert or Mr. McConnell or whomever, what other professionals we do when we ask to be evaluators to pick good contractors for the city of Kenner. We went outside. I have as much faith as I have in Jose. I have just as much in Mr. Walter Brooks with the millions, the multi-millions of dollars he hands out throughout the entire region that the RPC is a part of. So we have done our due diligence. We have done an excellent job selecting an excellent firm, and I ask for y'all's support in selecting this firm tonight. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mayor, I think the one thing we do all agree on is our confidence in Mr. Gonzalez, so you don't even have to say that. Okay, to close, Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Well, the good news, after all the negativity that's been floating around here today, is that we have a competent firm who is going to manage this whole, be the project managers for this, and the engineering firm that we have has excellent reputation. And the other good news is that we're all waiting for the improvements to come to this city that we so much deserve. You know, when you have 7 people up here, it's very difficult because each individual has their own plans of what they want to do and what they don't want to do. Not very often do we disagree, but for 5 of us who have watched this very carefully and have been exposed to contracts like this before, to agree is something to be said for itself. I don't think that any member up here wants to do the incorrect thing. We have to rule with our hearts as well as our minds, and we try and take anything that we know can be would not be a detriment to the city, we do away with. But anything we agree with, we should approve. This is not something new up here. It's been discussed for 2 months. It's not, we had it on for first reading. We all had time to digest it. None of us saw some of the amendments previously. For us to come in and vote unanimously would have been an impossibility because of that. But I think that we have to continue to move this city forward, to try and do the best thing. And I know that each one of us will and should be watching this project very carefully. So I just feel that we're doing the right thing. And in my heart, I know we're doing the right thing. And let's just continue to move this city forward and have these projects approved and get them going. So that's my feelings on the whole thing. I'm sorry that we had to have disagreements tonight because I don't like to disagree, but I do believe that it's absolutely necessary sometimes. And in this case, I think we did the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 5-2. Councilmembers Stagney and Carroll are opposed. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 11,642, an ordinance approving an increase to the maximum agreement amount for the agreement with Retief Oil and Fuel LLC for fuel and fuel-related services.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember DeFrancis. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the state of Louisiana and the city of Kenner for the Lake Trail Drainage Improvement Planning and Construction FP&C project number 50-MF1-13-06.
Motion by Councilmember Reyno, second by Councilmember Black. Councilmember Reyno.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. McConnell once we pass this, we can set up an account to put these funds in, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that we do that, that these funds are, go into a separate account just for Lake Trail. And I wanted to thank again Representative Julie Stokes for getting this $40,000 for this project. These people have been having problems for about 20 years now. I also want to thank the administration, Mr. Quigley and all, for working to get the funds to do this project. That's it. Thank you.
Did the at-larges help any? Oh, we sure did. Okay, seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is a resolution approving change order number 1 to the construction contract with Capstone Builders Incorporated regarding City Hall Building B interior renovations, reducing the contract amount by $14,699.25 and decreasing the contract time by 19 days for the Department of Inspection and Code Enforcement.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan. I had to give it to Councilmember Black because it was a decrease. And she's always the one that calls us out on the increases, so I had to give her that motion. Did you need to speak?
You're absolutely correct. I hate it. I hate change orders, except when it's in our favor. So I think we're saving money on this one. I think it comes out to a total, minus some of the other projects, to $14,000 decrease. So hip, hip, hooray. Good job, Jose, once again. Thank you.
Hip, hip, hooray. Good job, Jose.
Oh, it wasn't you? Okay, everybody's code enforcement. Oh, my gosh, Mr. Connolly, how could I neglect you? I mean, you're so easy to not be seen. You just melt into the the decor, I should say. But thank you very much, and I'm very pleased to vote for this change order.
Okay, Councilmember DeNapolis?
Jeannie, don't count your chickens too much before they hatch, because I question about the decrease, and it's always great that you have a $15,000 decrease, but I understand that I don't want the administration closing up walls with leaking windows, so there will be a change coming to add windows, which will be an increase. So I hope you can sleep tonight, Jeannie.
Thank you, Councilman, for taking away the glory.
Grinch?
After the meeting.
They told us in the meeting today. Okay, Mr. DeNapolis, you're finished? You've finished stealing Christmas?
Yeah, because I actually was trying to get that $15,000 allocated to the historical district in District 5, but, they wouldn't. But they wouldn't let me because they need to use the money for windows, okay?
All right, thank you, Grinch. Mr. Quigley?
Just to reiterate what Councilman DeNapolis just said, that once you pull all the walls down, a lot of things become evident, and it was very evident, and we actually have done a water test, and the windows are leaking, and I think all of y'all understand, because up on the third floor, I think they leak too, but the difference is that we're not renovating the third floor. We are renovating the first floor, and we're going to have new walls and new flooring and new wires and so forth. So we are going to be getting a price for the windows. The good news is, as Councilman Black said, we have a little credit that'll go towards it. But at some point, we'll be coming back with some additional costs, because the windows really do have to be replaced. Unfortunately, in the original specifications, it didn't call for new windows, but it became much more evident when all the walls came down that there's some significant leaks. And I just think it's very prudent upon us to go ahead and look at replacing the windows. So that will.
I mean, it could be worse. We could need windows, and we didn't have a $14,000 decrease, so.
Right.
Yes, $14,699.25. When is the project supposed to be completed?
It's They have 240 days. It's a 240-day contract, so that's around May sometimes. They have, the contractor has till about May. Now, actually, we did deduct some days from this.
Yes,
So
19.
there was a deduct in days also because of the change order, the deductive change orders.
Okay. All right, seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is a resolution approving change order number 1, final, and accepting as complete the construction contract with Barrier Construction Company, LLC, regarding Phase 1 of the Veterans Boulevard Overlay, Kenner Project Number 2011-003-ST, State Project Number H007213, and Federal Aid Project Number H007213 at a final cost of $446,202.12, which is a reduction of $12,049.44 from the original contract amount.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Black. Another? Councilmember Carroll. Another reduction. All right. Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Duhon Machinery Company Incorporated in the amount of $24,000 for the purchase of one Towmaster T24 Beaver Tail Style Tag-Along Trailer or equal in accordance with seal bid number 13-6188 for the Department of Public Works. Item 16B is an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Economical Janitorial and Paper Supplies, LLC, for a 2-year contract to supply the City of Kenner with janitorial supplies on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 13-6183 and an amount not to exceed $70,000 annually. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Rotolo Consultants Incorporated in the amount of $1,046,161 base bid for the Laketown Median Beautification Project from Vintage Drive to Laketown in accordance with seal bid number 13-6182 for the Department of Public Works. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees.
I just wanted to say a few things. I had already mentioned about the mayor's award from JETCO, but I wanted to remind everybody that we changed our first meeting in January from January 2nd to January 9th. Because of the holidays, obviously, it was going to make it difficult for advertising. Are we closed on the 2nd? No? Okay. So the meeting, so there'll be actually 3 weeks in between tonight's meeting and the first meeting of 2014. Also, you know, maybe not directly related to the city of Kenner, but certainly East Jefferson Parish, Rummel and East Jefferson, anybody else? I knew that, that's why I looked at Councilmember Stagney. State champions, I'm sorry, I won't say any more, but, you know, hey, that's pretty awesome, and a lot of our kids from the city of Kenner, I know, are members of those schools. Also, the other day, we had the unveiling of our City of Kenner officials, past, present, and future, which was a project done by the Jefferson Parish Historic Commission, and it is a wealth of information just documenting everybody who has served in an elected capacity or appointed capacity in the city of Kenner. So it's very, very organized, the information, very easy to read, and a wonderful asset to our city to have this information preserved and our history preserved in one place. Also has a lot of the flags. The mayor had spoke about them earlier with the youth council, but there's a placard on either side, I believe, with the flags and an explanation. So, you know, this mayor is very much conscious of history and our city, compiling that information. And so we're very lucky to have had, you know, the Historic Commission offer this to our city and now have it here as information for anybody seeking it out. So maybe this would be good to put on a scavenger hunt in the city of Kenner, if you ever do a scavenger hunt. Okay, and we'll do our warm wishes at the end of the meeting, but Councilmember DeFrancis.
Thank you, Council President. A few quick points. One, because of our Sipping Santa that took place earlier this year, the city of Kenner was able to give away Christmas baskets to so many needy families. From last year, excuse me, correction. The proceeds from last year's Sipping Santa allowed us to give Christmas baskets to so many needy families. And I know the mayor was there, Councilman Reyna was there, I was there, Councilman Stagney stopped by, and some of the other council members might not have been able to come by because it was a very awkward time. It was in the middle of the day and right before council meetings. So I know if they could have been there, I know their hearts were there. Even if they physically couldn't be there, I know their hearts were truly there. So again, Kenner does care about the needy in this city. And I know, I'm going to mention this because I know that we have someone in the audience. Mr. Daigle and his family have always, Larry Daigle and his wife have always been so kind to so many needy people in the city, and I think they're going to continue, having spoken to him earlier, that he's going to continue that tradition of helping the needy at Christmas time, and so I want to mention that as well. And finally, I just want to point out that our theater, the Grand, we had our ribbon cutting. It's a premier theater. All of our council members were able to tour it, and I think if you go there, you'll be very happily surprised at the quality of that theater. So we're going to hope that it's a very positive addition to the Esplanade Mall in the city of Kenner. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to thank. Oh, that's okay. I would like to thank Mr. Quigley, Mr. Maricoli, Mr. James Muhammad, and Mr. Maurice Price. We had a meeting a couple of weeks ago as it relates to the Buddy Lawson Playground, the baseball stadium. As we all know, it has been since 2005, Hurricane Katrina, that the children at Buddy Lawson and the children at the entire city of Kenner have had to endure the stadium without a top. I mean, this is the oldest historic baseball stadium in the city, and it's far time that we move forward to repair this, to bring this particular stadium up to par with a number of our facilities like we have with the gym floor. So, you know, we met, talked about it, worked it out. All of the things from FEMA, negotiating and all that is in place. We actually had someone to come out and to give an assessment, Mr. Maricoli, correct me if I'm wrong, an assessment of the stadium. Hopefully after their assessment, we can get that in before the end of the year so we can put this on an accelerated track to be repaired, because it is for time that we repair this historic stadium. So I want to thank all you guys again. We look forward to the renovations. I look forward to seeing it come up, and once again, we were going to stay on this to ensure that it's done in a timely manner. And I would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas from me and my family. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam President.
All right. Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to ask Mr. Conley this. I've gotten several complaints with people who have either rented or bought a house that has been vacant for a while, and they start getting billed on their water bill for the garbage pickup. Is there some system we can put in place? And I mentioned this to Mr. Nicolosi, I mentioned it to Mr. Romelli, and I know Ms. Newton and I talked about it once, that they get a list of new people that sign up so that they can see if they have a garbage bin, because these people are getting very upset that they call several times, and truthfully, it's not till either the administration or the council contacts them, Romelli, I mean, that they actually get their can.
Well, what we started to do, the code committee had asked for a list of blighted abandoned properties, and it was formed for that committee. I've taken that list and I have given it to Mr. Nicolosi to ask that the cans be picked up and preserved for the need when people do move into homes, or if they're out of a can, that those cans can be put back into the streets or into commerce, if you will, because,
If they're still there.
well, the problem is when they're left at these abandoned houses, they're either destroyed, stolen, taken,
Right.
or just sit out there and decay. So it is, we just started with Romelli, working with Romelli and Mr. Nicolosi, and hopefully that can answer some of the problems.
Okay, thank you. I also wanted to marvel over the theater that's next to the mall. Wonderful ribbon cutting, just an awesome theater. I would encourage all of our citizens to go out there. They have an enormous 3-story screen, leather seating, some sound effects that I think very few theaters in the South have. The only one. And I invite you to go see the Grudge match that opens Christmas Day. Part of it filmed in the city of Kenner and part of it in New Orleans. And when it came before a code committee for the permit to film, I asked them if it was okay if Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone can take a picture with the 2 Italian elected officials, Yenny and Stagny, here in the city. They laughed and didn't tell me when it was, so we missed that occasion. On behalf of my wife, Denise, my boys, Joseph and Andrew, I'd like to wish all the citizens of Kenner a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Mayor Yenny.
Sorry. You mentioned the history wall. You know, I wanted to thank the council members that were able to make it, and of course, all of the elected officials, past, present, and maybe some future, you never know, that were there at the event the other day. And, you know, I just think it's very, very, very important that Kenner always remembers where it's come from and where it needs to go. And by knowing its history, I think that's very important for our citizens, and they can now see it in these beautiful chambers now. And let's see, the other thing I was going to tell them. Oh, of course, the Christmas Village is still open through the 22nd. Now, of course, after the 22nd, Santa Claus has to go back up to the North Pole, so he'll be a little busy. So, but the village will still be open, you know, for people to walk through beyond that through after the first of the year to see the lights. And I cannot thank the Public Works Department and the Recreation Department for all the hard work they've done with Rivertown to make it look as good as it does. And I know Mr. Franches and Ms. Carroll mentioned it earlier, but I don't know where this city would be without the Community Development Department and the volunteers from Public Works, Councilman Carroll's assistant, and those others that came and volunteered today to hand out those baskets. Look, it's wonderful what both my wife and Ms. Carraway do to raise that kind of money, but when you see the looks on those faces that come in to get those baskets, and unfortunately, for Thanksgiving, we were able to partner with a very good company that Councilwoman Brannigan brought to us years ago, CRC, Mr. Ronnie Maines, who is an outstanding humanitarian. I can't begin to say enough words about Mr. Ronnie Maines. He is one of the pinnacles of the world that keep this place going. I mean, you couldn't have a better man than him. We fed over 600 people for Thanksgiving, and I know some people were very upset that, you know, it's done through a lottery system, and unfortunately, there's only so much to go around. And some officers from the Kenner Police came and volunteered some more time today to do that, to be able to hand out those baskets. And I know Councilman DeFrancis and Councilman Reno got stuck being runners. They were helping some people that couldn't get out to their cars. I said, man, I think Keith may have gone back to somebody's house. Okay, that's kind of what I figured when I didn't see you for some time. So thank you all very much for doing that. That means a lot. And the Christmas lunch that we put on for our Council on Aging, which was the day before, was very, very, very well attended. And they did a great job serving those lunches. We couldn't do that without the Kenner Police. But you know, the proceeds for the food from Sipping with Santa is how we're able to do these extra Thanksgiving and Christmas baskets that we do. And I'll probably get killed for saying this, but I have a tough time keeping good news in. But this year we raised $50,000 for Sipping with Santa, and
Crazy.
Ms. Carraway is in the hospital, because if not, she and Michelle would have been here tonight to present their check, but she's doing okay, and she'll hopefully be out pretty soon. And so we'll have them at one of the future meetings to come and present the check, because they spend a lot of work with the volunteers that do things throughout the city to make that happen, and we couldn't do those good things without them. And in fact, earlier this week, the Times-Picayune contacted me because they did a Thanksgiving message, video Thanksgiving message that I did with them, and they came back to me and said, we'd like you to do a Christmas message because the Thanksgiving message was very well received. And I said, well, I have no problem doing that. But the one thing I did fail to say is to thank all of the good employees that we have working for this city that go above and beyond to do what they do. I got a little carried away thanking all the service members that are out there protecting us and keeping this country safe so we can enjoy holidays and have holidays. But without the City of Kenner employees, this city would not be the city it is today. And to see them at some of their little Christmas parties that they've had throughout the week, that they've done a very, very good job making sure they always address you with a smile and do the best they can. I know sometimes we get complaints on some, but they all do the best they can to make sure this city is a well-run machine, and it's becoming better and better each day. So thank you very much for y'all's support, and to all the Kenner employees, we thank them for all they do.
Yes. All right, Councilmember DeNapolis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just kind of want to reiterate what the mayor said, especially the things that Sipping and Santa does and the Council on Aging and what the city does. And I want to tell you that, 2 Sundays ago, I had my caroling in the park, okay, which, I got to thank a lot of businesses as well for helping with that, Cafe Des Moines, Walgreens. And I want to thank the Recreation Department. They did a fantastic job out there. We gave away over 600 toys at the event. It was the 10th year we've done it. It's grown every year. And the important thing was that several families, new families to Kenner, they actually had, one of them just bought a house last week and was jogging around the track and said, what's all this setting up? I said, do you have any kids? I said, yes, we'll bring them. And they're going to get a free picture with Santa and a present. So, and the one thing he thanked me, he says, you know what? I've been hearing this about Kenner. There's so many good things, little things that Kenner does that the big cities don't do. And these are the things like Sipping with Santa, like the Council on Aging, what we do for our elderly, the little picnic things, the basket giveaways, the caroling in the park. We got Rivertown. We have the Christmas decorations over there. These are the things that make Kenner very special, and hopefully that family, that young family that moved in, really is figuring out really fine that they bought in the right place, and I want to thank everybody.
Whatever you do, don't forget you're forgetting 2 people.
Donna Shedler. Wait.
She did an outstanding job.
Fantastic job, and I want Maria, and I know the mayor with Andy.
No. I
Who's
was
the second
going to
one?
say, you got to thank Rosemary Clooney DeFrances for
That's
all
right.
all those great notes that she sang. When you
She
stuck the
did. I
microphone in
actually
my
had the
face, I
mayor
pushed it in
and
her.
Maria singing. I can tell you that. Oh, but it was fun. It was a great event. 10th year we've had it, and hopefully we'll have 10 more. Second thing I want to say is I got, once again, Donna Shedler. She, if the camera can zoom in on the reindeer with the Saints, I want to wish the Saints a victory this Sunday. I think everybody in New Orleans is looking forward to having, the playoffs here in town. No, they're not playing at home, but, I mean, they are playing against a pretty tough team in Seahawks. But, it's hopefully they'll win, and I know we're going to do our little Christmas thank you later, but just want to, wish the Saints well this Sunday. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Council Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. Item 18 is new business.
We have none.
Item 19 is unfinished business under our motions to reconsider or remove from a table position.
We have none.
Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Mr. Larry Daigle.
Larry Daigle, 4128 Tulane Drive, Kent, Louisiana, District 5. Thank you, Kent. I passed over there. You had a crowd of people over there, man. It was awesome. And Maria, thank you for the kind words. And my answer to you is yes. I'm going to keep doing it until the Lord takes me home. And if anybody knows of any elderly person or even young people that need help, find in your heart to reach out and help them. We kicking ours off tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. Channel 8's going to come with us, and Santa Claus is going to be in the Who Dat truck again. And I want to thank all those people that helped us and sponsored to help feed these needy families, and the church that donated and helped us. We really, really appreciate it. Our heart goes out to y'all. And may every one of y'all have a happy and safe Merry Christmas. And Mayor, the roads feel nice. And Kent, get some money to fix Tulane Drive. It's a mess. All I want for Christmas is a new street. All right, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you. Ms. Patricia Davis.
Yes, Patricia Davis, 3126 Ohio Street. Public hearing, final passage, 9B. I'd like to thank the code enforcement for that particular property that they had restored. But my question is, do those particular properties continue to stay boarded up? One, they can stay boarded?
They stay boarded until they become either substandard or a nuisance.
Okay.
So we take it to that stage and then we push a little harder to get it to a better stage.
Okay. Second, on last Saturday evening, the Lincoln Manor Civic Association, we held our annual Christmas event in the Lincoln's Gym, but unfortunately that didn't go very well because the weather had changed and the party was really, really cold because the gym doesn't have any heat. Does anyone go out to check those?
Supervisors notify us if the heat's not on, yes.
The heat hasn't been on even during the basketball practice. There hasn't been any heat in that gym.
I'll make sure I check it first thing in the morning. They
Because-
went out and checked everyone prior to the weather change. So I'll double check what happened.
Okay. Because I know last year, unfortunately, the money couldn't be used to do repairs on the gym. The councilman for Jefferson Parish, Councilman Spears, the Recreation Department, had donated the $10,000 but it couldn't be used for renovations. So therefore, we're asking the city of Kenner to continue working with that gym to get it up to standards. Councilman Carroll know how cold it was because we had to hug him to keep him warm.
Heck of an excuse.
Mr. Stagney, I'd like to thank you. My family and I would like to thank you. 2 months ago, I lost my aunt who lives in St. Rose. But fortunately, for some reason, your office found a way to get a sympathy card to those people, and that's not your district. So that just let me know what kind of man you are, and I truly appreciate you for that. And the Christmas card that you sent out to my family. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Very sweet. Councilmember Carroll, did you want to respond to that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Davis, thank you. First, thank you for inviting me to the Lincoln Manor Civic Association Christmas party. It was cold. It was extremely cold up in there, and thanks for the hugs also. We needed it, all of us. But Mr. Maricoli, if we can check on the gym to see exactly what's going on, why the heat isn't working, because basketball season has begun, and when the gym is full, it's not a problem. But when there's few people in there, or you have very little activity, movement going on, it is extremely cold, like it was at the party. So please, next week, just get back with me and let me know what is the reason for the cold so we can address it. I mean, we see, people are going to see the meeting and say, okay, we're taking care of the council, the city hall with renovations. It is as important to ensure that the children, at a minimum, have some of the same amenities. So I appreciate your support on this. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Is somebody trying to get my attention? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Walt Benetti.
Thank you, Council President. Walt Benetti, 3009 Illinois Avenue in Councilman Stagney's district. At the end of the last council meeting, Councilwoman DeFrancis made some comments regarding criticism of the two no-bid contracts that were in her district, and inferring that they were made because of the fact that they were in District 4. And as I'm sure the councilwoman is aware, I've long been opposed to no-bid contracts regardless of the district throughout Kenner and in Jefferson Parish. So I wanted to make that point. It had nothing to do with it being in District 4, my criticism. My criticism was of the process, and it had nothing to do with District 4 whatsoever. I just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and I appreciated the Christmas card I received from Mayor Yenny, and usually I only receive invitations to fundraisers, so a Christmas card was a welcome present, and no. No, I actually felt special for just a split second until I realized that all my neighbors also got a Christmas card from the mayor. So, but Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you.
You didn't? I got one. Okay, Councilmember DeFrancis? Oh, Mr. Brown. Did you want to respond?
I just, very quick.
Okay.
Mr. Benetti, I want to remind you again that I simply stated the fact that the contract could not be a no-bid contract because of the two acts that I presented at that meeting, the Brooks Act and the Hammett Act, and that made it impossible for that particular project to be a bid, to go out to bid. So I just want to reiterate that for the public. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Richard Brown?
Thank you, Madam President. Richard Brown, 824 Sessions Lane, Kenner. First off, Mrs. DeFrancis, when the council was debating the item to hire Linfield, Hunter, and Junius, you made the comment you had not heard from any constituents expressing. Okay, I think, I thought I heard you to say you had not heard from any constituents. If I misunderstood you, then I apologize, because I did call your office today and left a message expressing concern about that item and asking that it be deferred. I called some other council members, and I also sent an email. But moving on, I attended the ribbon cutting for the new theater at the Esplanade Mall. It is a very nice theater. We are really lucky to have it. I hope it helps to revitalize the mall. I'm excited about going to see movies there. Folks, it is fabulous. It is really a nice theater, and I'm awfully glad to have it. And I also wanted to compliment the Kenner Christmas Village of Rivertown. I was there for the opening night. It was awfully cold that night, but we had a good time. It's beautiful. The decorations on the chapel, the lights on the chapel are beautiful. And Kenner has done an excellent job with that. And speaking of Christmas, in closing, I just want to wish all of the council members and the administration and everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and let's have a great 2014. Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward.
Yes, hi, my name is Connie Zimmerman. I'm at 2453 Taffy Drive in Councilman Stagney's district. I am interested in making a statement about smart growth. You've heard me talk about smart growth in the past. I voiced my serious concerns about smart growth one time in front of the council, one time at one of the listening sessions, or possibly two of the listening sessions that Kenner had. I've asked a lot of questions about smart growth. I don't need to know what smart growth is because I know what smart growth is. I've researched it and have attended seminars and have learned everything that there is to learn about smart growth. But the one thing that I didn't know, and I kept asking is who brought smart growth to Kenner? Who's the one who introduced that concept of Kenner should take part in smart growth principles, which destroy property rights and destroy quality of life for people that live in the city where smart growth comes. And nobody could give me an answer on that. Well, finally, after enough research, it appears that Greg Cantrell is the one who introduced smart growth to Kenner. So I want to go on record as saying that I have concerns. I'm sure he's a very nice man, very professional, runs a very successful business, but if he and anyone want to bring smart growth principles into Kenner, then that's bad. That's a bad thing. And I'd like to think that by this point, all of our council members have maybe made some phone calls to find out what smart growth was, or did some Googling on the internet to find out what it is. But I know I've provided information as to what it is. I hope that people have read at least that information that I've provided. So, so that's my statement leading into the new year. I don't want to see Kenner move in that direction. And that's it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else wishing to address the council? Okay, guys, it's our time. Jeannie never puts a hat on. Okay. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Now, how come Brannigan's microphone was the only one on?
Everybody's microphone's on.
No, my mic was not on.
You know how much they hate when we do that, right? Or when we move it. All right, Merry Christmas,
Merry
Happy
Christmas, everyone.
Holidays to everyone, and we'll see you next year.
I did it myself. I didn't waste any money.
Running out of you guys. We got a party. Yep.
Yeah.